And then Cersei asks Tywin if he heard what Tyrion just said.
Did you hear what he said?
Tywin rises and says he believes that they'll dispense with the bedding, and then says, Tyrion, I'm certain you did not mean to threaten the king's royal person.
What up, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm Nate, and joining me as always is my brother Zach.
Startled by that introduction.
I know, I left right out at you.
Yeah, you did. And I was startled. Anyway, hi, hey.
Thank you for joining us.
It's been a hot minute, and so we missed you guys.
Yo, are we under attack?
Helicopters are swarming outside. This is why we haven't released an episode.
We're
guys.
under
They're
attack.
after us. The Brotherhood's been on the run.
If you've joined us before, you know that we are full spoiler. If you have not been here, that's your warning. We say one and only. You'll probably be warned again, but we do spoil shit.
Yeah, we like to read a Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire. Damn it. A Song of Ice and Fire here.
Currently, A Storm of Swords.
But we've been on a hiatus as of... Jesus, this is like really fucked.
Excuse me, set up the microphone.
No, it's
then.
slowly like twisting and turning.
No, it needs to be tightened up. It's been a while, you know? So we had some equipment failure.
Right.
And lost a lot of episodes. And then we recorded one. And
then we recorded this Sansa one, which we currently would be reading today and will be, and it sucked. It was balls, and it was just a stale conversation. Bad, mainly because we had already recorded it, and it just didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel unique, and that got us kind of down and COVID funk a little bit, and we kind of just lost some steam. We needed to reassess. There's been some transition periods.
Our lives, man.
Right.
Just need to get some shit together.
Yeah, you know, Nate's dealing with a kid moving from kindergarten to first grade and getting
as a single dad,
right? And the toddler, the little one as well,
and a career shift. So you guys,
career shift, and myself, I was unemployed for a bit. Have finally managed to get employed again, which is wonderful. But we needed to get a mental recharge for a bit, not be under a deadline, any deadline. Even our D&D game took a little bit of time off to let everyone reassess. Now, though, things are opening. We are both 2 weeks out from our second shot.
We're like a month out from our second shot or something.
Well beyond it. We're vaccinated. The children around us are healthy and safe.
I'm at the tail end of my certification classes and shit,
Things
my law
are looking
classes.
Up, and we've been reading every single email that's been coming in from you guys, which has
motivated us.
Kept us alive. Yeah. We have thrived off of laughing and joking and talking about your emails, and it's been fueling that fire for us to get right back into it.
So here we are.
New equipment,
which
secure,
is
backed up, all that fun stuff.
Yep, we've got the stuff needed thanks to some lovely, lovely listeners.
And so we decided, fuck it, now that we can finally stand and look at ourselves in the mirror, let's record our voice and throw it out on the internet.
You're looking at yourself in the mirror again?
Well,
I haven't hit that point.
Shyly, like a stranger in a pub.
Gotcha. A slight wink every now and then.
Any fucking way.
Last episode, we were reading Dany 3. The plaza where she...
Yeah, we're reading A Sword of Storms.
Didn't we already...
No, we did, but, we're reading A Storm of Swords, and we're full spoiler. I know, you gave the warning. You're good. You covered the bases. But that's what we do here. And it's been a hot minute. We're almost halfway through this book when the fizz kind of fizzled out on our end. And, just want to give a little refresher here.
Breathe.
That, we're about halfway through Storm of Swords, and many of you are catching up, and hopefully our hiatus has given you time to, and many of you have been with us from the beginning, and we appreciate it. Hope you're coming back and
joining us for the real meat of this
juice.
Fucking series.
Yeah, right.
Like we're really excited to be diving into. We got a couple of weddings ahead of us here soon, and guests. I still have. The pandemic put a dampener on a lot of things, but, we had spoken to a good number of guests beforehand that I'll be reaching back out to now that, sanity is being restored once again in my house.
Right. So. At least in our little stretch of Southern California for the time being.
Speaking of Southern California, it's fucking hot today, and so the air is It's not off.
Right.
It's
So
turned.
if you hear it,
it's
Nate's
just-
comfort trumps your listening experience. Just remember that. I give 110%. Nate gives like 98.
Whoa.
Just saying. Anyway, as Nate said earlier, last episode we were reading Dany 3, which explosive episode.
So fucking good. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Dany.
Zach's been reading Piers Anthony lately.
Oh, yeah.
The pun king. So
We'll
be
save
ready
that
for
for the small
that.
council. We'll talk
Anyway, Dany, took control of the Unsullied. She acquired a new wonderful
tricked
handmaiden.
the shit out of the slavers and torched Krasnus, which was well deserved, and had Missandei by her side as well now. And yeah, she got her dragons, fucked shit up, struck the chains off of every slave, killed every master in the city, and threw away the whip, not needing to enslave them, but promising them instead freedom. Just walk with me, and it's your choice. You'll be freedmen. And they gladly, happily accepted that. Orders, it's always weird with the Unsullied.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, yeah.
They're like, well, we've been trained
You had
to
the
do
whip,
this,
so like, yeah, we'll do what you say.
Yeah, sure.
And then, Dany is enthralled, comparing it a lot to her trident or her Field of Fire, where it was the introduction of dragons into a transaction that hasn't had to deal with dragons in a very long time.
Right.
And that was the key, the changing factor that the slavers, magistars, I almost called them,
Whatever.
the slavers. Well, magistars
There's a big
implies like a
difference, yeah.
trade
No,
of
you're
like
right.
goods, and
Right.
let's not.
But yeah, anyway,
So we're not reading
No,
Dany. We're reading Sansa.
Yeah.
Sansa 3.
last episode. Or
Sansa.
last time we read Sansa 3,
Yeah.
not last episode.
Well, no, not Sansa 3.
Sansa 2. When
That
we were
one.
reading Sansa 2, we
Right.
are on Sansa 3. There's so many fucking numbers. Like, give me a break, man. I'm just trying to get Sansa went hawking with Marjorie.
Yeah.
And it was a sweet outing. They got to do some talking. Marjorie really talked up her brother and them being so close. Their future that's going to be spent just living life large as fuck up in the
Living
high
that
garden.
high garden life.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
And that this caused Sansa to want to confide in Marjorie that Joffrey is indeed a monster and will hurt you. And Marjorie was like, no, don't even trip, dog. I got it. And also, the big point of this chapter, besides the fucking seamstress who's popping around, got my eye on her still, was Sansa has a new gown being made, which
Yes.
she's very excited for, thinking that maybe she'll wear it to when she meets Willis for the first time, or their wedding, or all the fanciful dreams that Sansa so tragically is still clinging to, only to be dashed horribly in this horrendous fucking chapter. That is Sansa 3.
Yeah, so let's start with that, which as we're going into Sansa 3, just how unsettling this chapter is.
I hate it.
In general.
This is, because we've talked about how, never really resonated with Sansa during the first couple reads or rereads. And this time, not speculating, but really scrutinizing
Rip
things.
my fucking heart out of my chest, throw it on the ground, and stomp on it.
It was kicking up some anxiety in me, like this absolute dread of just everything against your will. She is trapped, and she's being forced to have to kiss and lay with this fucking man that she wants nothing to do with.
The fact that by the end of this, we are thanking disgusting, horrible Tyrion for what teeny amount of humanity he has
The
left to
restraint that he
not
showed,
just
Yeah.
and it's
That
just
scene
so
is gross. So it starts on the morning that the new gown is ready, and Sansa is getting all decked out, fucking, and she's loving it. She's like, "This is dope, get my herded." And Cersei herself even comes to see how it goes, and she's just Sansa's too caught up, man.
right fucking there.
Yeah.
She's gonna, in just a few sentences, my notes are a little hoppy here.
Hoppy scotchy.
She's gonna mention that why would she call Willis a gargoyle because she doesn't have any knowledge of that. She doesn't know that's happening. So what is Cersei doing here helping you with your wedding dress, Sansa? Like, if she doesn't know any shit.
Well, she is thinking that she looks so goddamn good. Willis is going to look at her and not even think of Winterfell and totally forget her claim and all of that. And that's the naivete of Sansa currently, is she's not playing the game.
You poor dear.
And yeah, so she's not putting two and two together why Sansa or
breaks
Cersei
my
would be
heart,
there.
man.
And Cersei wants Sansa in gems as well, the ones that Joffrey gave. And then says it's almost a shame to squander her beauty on the gargoyle. And Well, yeah,
Sansa's like, wait,
what gargoyle?
Oh, by the way, you're marrying Tyrion?
Well, so Cersei ignores it. She doesn't answer these
Not
fucking
yet,
questions and has the cloak brought. And then Sansa sees the dire wolf of her father on the cloak and immediately recognizes it as a maiden's cloak.
Yeah.
And
I guess then that clears up my question, is that Sansa was thinking it was just a pretty dress being made, but she had planned it to be a wedding dress.
Right.
And then it wasn't until that came out that she realized that Cersei was aware of anything.
Right.
So,
and so that's when, most decent human beings get a fucking gross knot in their stomach, as did I. And now that she's dressed, it's time to go. Go to the Septon. The Septon and the guests are already waiting. So, again, the last person to know about this is Sansa. And why would she? It's a plot within a plot. She's trying her hardest not to believe Dantos' drunk ass with the Tyrells only want your claim. And the Lannisters are squashing this
to bed
very,
right now.
very quickly.
They don't even get the option because we're taking your claim.
Right, we're taking the claim first. And it's a power play within a power play, and Sansa's just purely caught in the middle.
She tries to run, and that breaks my heart again.
She says no, and
Right.
Cersei says, yes, you are a ward of the crown. Joffrey has every right to dispose of your hand. You're to marry Tyrion. And
Yeah, she
God.
tries to get away, but the hands are probably the seamstress there that grabs a hold of her before she moves more than a foot.
Yeah.
Just gotcha. And then all the King's Guard.
Well, Cersei's a cold-ass bitch.
Dude.
He tells her, cry if you must. I'd rip my hair out. He is a loathsome little imp.
Yeah, that's fucked.
But marry him you shall. I mean, it reminded me in a lot of ways of Shay toward Lawless. You're going to be raped by this little gargoyle.
Get over
man. That's what a lady does.
Hike up your skirt and do it.
I
yeah.
am no way getting the sickest of enjoyment out of this. And Sansa thinks Dantos the Fool may not have been so foolish after all. And, yeah, it's fucking brutal. Meryn Trant and Osmond Kettleblack enter, and Sansa tries to run, but Kettleblack catches her.
I'm starting to see that more, and again, we'll see how this bites me in the ass as we move forward, because, Garrett is cold hands and all those other things,
Mm-hmm.
Kettleblack seems to, this one, whichever one he ends up being in the future as well, who knows,
Right.
Is showing kindness. I don't know,
He's taking
kindness.
the place of the Hound in the show.
He's being much more
This
gentle.
scene was given to the Hound, but...
And so... Does that continue? Is he actually, and again, nobody in this fucking series is a good person. Is he a decent one that gets caught up? Was he a mercenary, the Kettleblacks or some shit that were hired in? But I'd have to do my research.
I mean, I wouldn't have put it beyond Cersei to have told these two specifically, if you strike her, clean her face after. I don't think in any way, because the brothers Kettleblack get all tied up in Cersei's...
and that's what I'm meaning is were they just...
I think it's just part of the game.
Looking to get rich who ended up getting caught up way more seriously in the game than they anticipated, because they end up in the Sept, and he seems like just a decent, quote unquote, very loose using that term, decent.
Right. I think it's a moment similar to the Hound, and I think that's why it was.
Where it's I'm in it for the money, but I'm not gonna...
The Hound is a pretty brutal fucking human being in the first couple books, and doesn't even remotely begin to soften until background shit in Feast. And so it's reminiscent of that to me, because this more was just you fucking prick. He tells her wolves are supposed to be brave, gives her some courage, but in the end, he could have been the coach by Cersei of, again, if you hit her at the king's order or mine, make sure you clean the blood, because it is her wedding day, and the Lannister name is being represented. So I find it hard to believe that anything that occurs in this chapter is for Sansa's fucking interest at all, from anyone in this goddamn city around her.
Yeah.
And it's fucking horror. So he bids her to do as she's bid, and she says, thanks, I'm a Stark, yes, I can be brave, and thinks that he's not so bad as the rest of them, which is just Sansa's leniency to immediately view something as
good,
rosy, and as good as it could be. And she says she'll go, and Cersei smiles and says, I knew you would. You fucking... The power trip Cersei's on here is gross.
And so they go. They make their way down.
Yeah, she doesn't remember, and I don't blame her. It's like in a dream.
Yeah,
like she's just terrified.
It's horrible.
And it just takes all her effort to continue. Joffrey awaits them on the stairs.
And the fact that she just doesn't yeet herself down these fucking flight of stairs and hope her neck snaps is...
I'm your father today. She says you're not. You'll never be. Like, the balls, dude.
I want to point out that, though, that it can be really quickly glazed over. Tyrion does the same thing.
Right.
Both of them
deny
stand
him.
up to him and openly speak out against him.
They deny it. I'm your father. You're not. You'll never be. You're the fucking douchey king.
You're gonna bed her. You're gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'll cut
I'll
your
marry
fucking
you
dick
to the
off
pig
and...
boy or ill in pain.
Right.
I'll give you to him. And Tyrion's like, hey, ooh, ooh. And he asks for a moment with his lady wife. Joffrey's gonna say no, but Cersei is kind of like,
Give him a.
Yeah. So he apologizes for all the secrecy. If he refused, she might have been married to Lancel. And then he asks which she may prefer, and if she wishes, she should speak now, and he'll put an end to this mummer's farce. And
so, what do you think of that? You think they would have agreed to that if she said, "How about Lancel instead"? And do you think, like, because I believe that Sansa would, I think she would go Lannister if that were the case. Because Lancel's going to do everything that Cersei tells her. I think at least for a while, until she gets twisted so much that she just lashes out. But because Lancel's going to continue sleeping with Cersei so that she can feed him all the information and get all the information for Sansa and about Sansa. And then, but Sansa's going to be living at large. A young knight, a lord, he's going to one day inherit fucking Kevin's place.
And that's the interesting bit, is he's more...
They'd be cousins?
The look...
Cersei and Sansa?
Yeah, the look that Sansa would like in Lancel.
Right.
But he's a
pushover.
Fucking pussy, right? Like, he's not at all the kind of knight she wants. And so it's an interesting... train of thought to go down. I also wonder where it's coming from on Tyrion's behalf of, like, it comes off as him being sympathetic of the first of his, if you're buying into Tyrion's bullshit as I did, that, everything he does is for the betterment of all. But it's just it's a loaded fucking question. Like, you don't give this girl a choice here. Like, who would you rather marry, me or this fucking stunted douchebag?
I'll take the moron that's fucking...
what right. Would you rather have, this fucking poison or that? And Sansa even thinks that, I don't want any Lannister, but says she's the ward, and she'll do her duty as the king commands. And Tyrion says that he is not the husband most girls dream of, but neither am I Joffrey.
She remembers. You were nice.
So they take hands, and they head to the altar. There are no Tyrells in attendance, but plenty of others. Varys, Adam Marbrand, Sir Bronn, Lord Giles, Lady Tonda's pregnant daughter was sobbing for no apparent reason.
Is that something,
shade, brah.
Is that something? Like, is there, like, no apparent reason? Why is she... Is it just for being here and being a person in public, or do you think something in particular happened on this day? On this day...
She was raped.
Well,
no?
Yeah. I'm just seeing if you think that that's still what's happening, because it's been, not that it's not okay for her to still be fucking just devastated.
We get later that, like, basically during the dance, I can't remember who it is that says it, I have it noted later, they say that Sansa's sadness is apparent in her eyes. So why wouldn't this stir shit up in Lawlings? It's another fucking girl who's going to get raped against her will to Tyrion. Tyrion's a fucking monster looking right now. Like,
makes sense.
So I think it's just that. The cycle continues. Yeah. Here's another one to churn into the fucking system. And so, I think just that. Could be more.
I'll allow it.
If anyone else has any theories on the...
Of course, send them in.
But she thinks, let her sob. Perhaps I'll do the same before this day is done. Again, everyone's so fucking cold towards her. But the ceremony passes like a dream. Joffrey unfastened her maiden cloak and gives her breast a little squeeze as he does so.
You motherfucker. Go die. Oh, wait, he's gonna. We're getting there.
Tyrion is too short to cloak her. Sansa is mortified, but refuses to kneel.
Dude.
Why should I spare his feelings when no one cares about mine?
because he's the only one here that.
I'm with it. Like,
I'm for it too.
Fuck yeah, Sansa. Like you don't have to fucking spare Tyrion anything. Like,
so they make Dantos go and
kneel so Tyrion can climb on.
Yeah,
him.
and then when she turns around, she's ashamed by the embarrassment in his face, and it's.
She's just decent.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyrion tries to be, but Tyrion's not
still a son of a
great
bitch.
person, right?
You're a son of a bitch.
Sansa is the victim here, regardless of Tyrion going a little red in the face.
So the fact that she feels ashamed is just sad.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You don't have to spare his feelings, girl.
So she kneels when they do the vows, facing him to get on his level. And they do the vows, they kiss, and she just thinks, God, he's so fucking ugly. And when the Septon declares them husband and wife, she almost sobs. And then we get to the feast. And the Tyrells show up finally. Like, what a party!
Yo, where the drinks? They showed up with the drinks.
Marjorie gives her a piteous look. The Queen of Thorns, no look at all. Eleanor, Alla, and Mega seem determined not to know her, so she's lost all her high guard.
Yeah, she's got nothing now.
I mean, she's no use.
She's a Lannister, right? There's no point for them to pursue. And the Queen of Thorns doesn't want anybody even knowing that she spoke with Sansa.
Because now
that plan is
Cersei's got the claws in. Like, she's gonna, it's gonna inform the Lannisters whatever anything happens with Sansa.
Marjorie and Joffrey kick off the first dance. Tyrion thinks that
Tyrion drinks a lot.
They don't need to make a show of them trying to dance out there together. But while he's drinking, Sansa does go enjoy a few songs.
Joffrey and Marjorie lead in place of Tyrion and Sansa.
I said that.
Yeah. No, I like that because Tyrion says that they both, as he's equating them both to victims here, have given them enough entertainment for one day, which I think is interesting considering here with Joffrey, it's the dwarves with the War of the Five Kings that come out and provide the entertainment.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that. This is the only chance that he gets to dance with his wife at a wedding.
Yeah.
Not wife, never wife. Suck it.
In her dreams, she always danced with her husband, all eyes on her, smiles all around, and she thinks not even my husband is smiling now.
But she does end up getting a nice dance with Garland.
Yeah, there it is, Garland.
He's the one that you said with the pity, or looks sadness in her eyes, and he gives her some words of encouragement, but like, again, it's that, hey, I know you're just a little girl, but you're going to get raped, most likely, repeatedly. Fuck your family. They're traitors. There's nothing left up there. So have a good one. Go dance with the guy's uncle that's going to rape you.
He also says he's seen her look at Loras, and the imp will make her a better husband. He is a bigger man than he seems, I think. And so the first part, I think, is him saying, like, you ain't Loras' type. So at least with the husband, you'll actually be able to consummate and have children.
And he does at least have those kind words.
The
for
second bit of Tyrion will at
humanity
least
he does
seem to
have.
not abuse you the way the king would have. So like you may be safe. But the dance gives her many partners. There's well wishes. Tommen, she danced with Tommen, who wants to be married because he's older than this lord or that. And then she's partnered with Joffrey. And he says that he'll still have Sansa whenever he wants, and then he gives her a very moist kiss. And then the partners change again. And then the dance is over, and Joffrey announces the bedding.
You motherfucker.
Tyrion, of course, ain't having it. Swears he'll geld Joffrey.
I love this scene. I love the way that Tywin just is up and controlling it.
Well, he swears. So yeah, he says you'll be fucking your own wife with a wooden cock, because I swear I'll geld you. And then there's shocked silence, during which Sansa wrenches her arm away from Joffrey enough so that the fabric rips, but that no one reacts because everyone's shocked at Tyrion. Like, yeah, Tyrion drops a bomb, but like that fucking act of defiance. Yeah,
my husband said, "Get off of me."
Well, no, not that. The Sansa saying, "Get your fucking disgusting, gross."
It's because her man
hands
is
off
doing
of her.
it. That's how this works, Zachary.
You need to fucking leave the booth. I will not have that bullshit.
Again, I just think it shows that they're both absolutely willing to stand up for themselves, and so her pulling away from him like that is just the ultimate sign of defiance. You're yanking away from the king.
Well, that's what I mean, right?
Right. No,
She's yanking away from the king in a room full of fucking Lannisters, Tyrells, all the people who matter, and like her dress rips. It's a noticeable fucking thing that's occurred, and no one says a word, like because they're all so dumb and so worried about Tyrion that they're not seeing the defiance in Sansa. Yes, she's agreeing to marry Tyrion. She fucking just yeeted herself away from the king. Like, fuck off.
And she's a traitor's child, man.
And then Cersei asks Tywin if he heard what Tyrion just said.
Did you hear what he said?
Tywin rises and says he believes that they'll dispense with the bedding, and then says, Tyrion, I'm certain you did not mean to threaten the king's royal person. And which Tyrion takes the cue and says, it was a bad jape, your grace. And Joffrey's like, you killed me.
Only because of the jealousy that was formed inside of me at your massive royal cock.
Basically.
And I have a little teeny tiny dwarf cock.
If you take my tongue, you'll leave me no way to pleasure this sweet wife you've given me. And there's some laughs, but Tywin says that Tyrion's clearly drunk.
Again, poor fucking Sansa, man. At her own wedding feast.
And Tyrion says he's not so drunk that he cannot attend his own bedding, and so he hops down, staggers out, grabs Sansa's hand, and leads a red-faced Sansa out of the hall to their given for the night chamber in the Tower of the Hand. So they get in there, Tyrion immediately wants a drink, and Sansa's like, is that wise? And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not really all that drunk, so, like, I need to be. And she gets a goblet for both of them, thinking it will be easier if she is drunk, which is... Aww. So she downs, like, half of it in a few gulps. And then Tyrion recalls his first wedding night with him and Tysha, how they fell into bed laughing at the end of the night after feeding each other morsels of food, which... is the right direction. Like, why couldn't you just have stayed on this train of thought, Tyrion, of that? That's the way it's supposed to happen. Consenting.
Right.
Laughing.
This ain't okay.
You
otherwise.
carrying her to the bed and falling into it together. So, Sansa says, I had forgotten. And Tyrion's like, you never knew. No one really
didn't
knows.
tell people.
But Sansa, curious, asks who it was she was. And then that's the mistake, I think, here. Because then we get the dark Tyrion that really reminded me of Dance of Dragons Tyrion when he says, Lady Tysha of House Silverfist. Like, recalling that's how...
she was paid.
She was paid after the men. Their arms have 1 gold coin and 100 silver upon a bloody sheet. Like,
yeah.
There is no house. She's not a noble, but he's... shaping it and telling Sansa what happened without offending Sansa. And that, I think, is the shift here of he's reminded of that and how fucked his father is towards him, and that poisons the rest and takes it as far as it does, where Tyrion is hard naked in front of a 13, I believe she says, year-old girl, and it's fucking disgusting, but...
like, I can't even... base it off of the world that they're in, like, and it being allowed there. It's just fucking...
yeah. So this is when he asks how old she is, and she says 13, and he says, Gods have mercy, which is the right response, again. And then asks her, basically, if... like, why she's not opening, and seems to get mad. Tells her, you hide behind courtesy as if it were a castle wall. And Sansa repeats the Septon's words that courtesy is a lady's armor. And he tells her, I am your husband. You can take your armor off now. And she asks if he wants her clothing off, too. And he says, yep. My lord father has ordered me to consummate this marriage. So hands trembling, she begins to undress with her eyes on the floor. As she's nude before him, he says that she is still a child, but he still wants her. And then he goes into this long, detailed thing about how... he could be good to her and wouldn't abuse her. She would be safe. He would protect her from Joffrey. And she realizes that he's as frightened as she is. But all she feels for him is pity, and pity was death to desire. Which,
yep.
I mean, yes, but is not even a thought that a 13-year-old should be
Thinking
in this
standing
moment.
naked in front of a fully grown man, halfly grown man.
But she says nothing in answer, just stands there for a while, and when he realizes there's no answer, Tyrion tells her to get into the bed, we must do our duty. And so she does. It's all honey-scented and petal-covered, as it's supposed to be a romantic night.
Right.
And it just, the backdrop to it, it's all fucking twisted. She goes to cover herself with a blanket. He tells her no. So she closes her eyes and hears him undressing. He hops up on the bed, puts a hand on her breast, and she shudders, dreading what comes next, as any normal human being, I believe, would. And then his hand is gone, and he tells her to open her eyes. She does, as she's doing what he commands. It's her duty. And he sits naked at the foot of the bed. His man staff stiff and straight between his legs. So mainly the reference of man staff, one, I don't think it was put there to add a humorous. I think it was more intended to show
childlike
that,
nature.
Like,
how
the Septons haven't quite gotten into that yet of what, like, I'm sure she's had all the lessons about what would happen with her own menstrual cycle in that bit and how she's capable of becoming pregnant and with child. But I don't know if she's gotten the birds and the bees of what the males possess, and I think she's just been based off of rumors from Beth Cassell and, the different serving girls stories that she's heard of them bedding with soldiers. And so the word manstaff, just really is a fucking horrid way of being like, oh yeah, this is how innocent.
And that's what I saw.
Not
it's
ready
just how
for
childlike
this.
she truly thinks and is at this point. She's only fucking 13 years old.
He says he cannot do this, lovely as she is. Gross. His father be damned, we will wait, however long it takes, until you've come to know me better and perhaps trust me a little. And his smile makes him look grotesque and sinister. Just this little fucking monster sitting at the edge of her bed, aroused because of a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, and she asks, like, well, what if I'm never ready, ever? And he don't like that.
She asks, how have I sinned that the gods would do this to me? Like, this is some kind of hell.
Yeah, you've done...
She's imprisoned.
You've done nothing.
She can't leave against her will. And now she has to marry and be touched by and grabbed and groped and see naked this stunted little creature who, by all accounts, not due to dwarfism, due to his now missing nose, is grotesque to look at. Like, this is fucking hell for a girl like Sansa. For any girl Sansa's age. Like, fuck for me. Like... Even the marriage against your will. If I was locked in a fucking tower and then told, you're going to marry this girl, regardless of it, who
and then it's going to happen to her friend, too.
You have no choice in the matter. It's just, fuck that, man. That's, But, obviously the whole chapter is fuck the whole situation. But,
yeah, but he does at least then say, well, that's what whores are for. Dwarfs like me. Dwarfs like me. Because of the...
Yeah, you just went real quick.
Did you?
Yeah, you're jumping over a bunch of stuff. Because he swears on his honor as a Lannister, which is one of the worst things that he could ever say to her, that he will not touch her until she wants him to. So that sentence carries literally no fucking weight. And then it takes every ounce of her courage to look at him and ask, what if I never want you to? Now that reminded me of her looking at the Hound. And when she realized that Hound isn't that scary, he's just usually drunk and raging, and there is a softness to his face if you really look. And so she's looking at Tyrion, but she's still seeing grotesque and sinister,
still seeing Lannister.
And so I think that's a portent. Sansa is good at reading people. We've realized that throughout this. She's
even
not,
if she doesn't necessarily interpret what she's supposed to be doing.
It's still almost fairy tale monster like, but that's the point, is Tyrion's image hasn't changed, and now she works up the courage to look at him, and it's still the same feeling that she had, and she asks, what if I never want you to? And he jerks as if she slapped him. She just hit the hardest fucking chord she could have in this without even intending to. Just that subconscious, and, good for her for saying, I don't ever want you touching me. Like,
Right.
But
I mean,
she hits it right on the head, and then, yeah, that's what whores are for. And he makes a hand into a fist and climbs off the bed, which the fist, again, is another... He's fucking frustrated by this. Sexually now, gross, and now emotionally, as she just fucking jabbed him, like, and basically said, yeah, no, you're pretty bad. This is a shit deal. Fuck all of this. I would rather lay here in bed than ever have you fucking touch me. So, I think this chapter is meant to, show the darkness in Tyrion.
Yeah.
That, Sansa sees him for a little fucking monster.
I don't want to say funny, but it's
I don't
interesting
think they're going to have a happy reunion at any point.
I think it's interesting that the first time I read through, I think I saw it in the opposite.
Right,
not
being
that anything was
decent.
okay, but he's being a good guy by not sleeping with the... He groped her.
He groped her.
He
got
ogled
hard
her.
from it.
He gross.
Right.
It's fucking gross. And yeah, I think that Martin wrote this chapter with the entire thing intending to be unsettling.
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
eerie and just...
You're not supposed to like or enjoy any part of this chapter.
Yeah.
It's fucking bleak. But that's the end of Sansa 3. So we'll convene our small council, get some inductees, read some emails, and give our own.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we are. We're back with the small council.
I almost had a coffee burp.
Well, then I'm glad that I came in with that little
I'm drinking
ditty.
late night coffee. Hey, that's a good idea.
You only halfway done with that thing, dude. Damn.
I've been sipping.
Damn. You
Yeah.
need to hurry up.
Eh.
Otherwise, you're going to be up all night, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty beat.
Whatever. Fuck your sleep schedule.
Right, you know.
Anyway, so do you have an inductee for that chapter?
Sansa 3? No, fuck everyone.
I do. It's Sansa. Because this
Right.
poor fucking girl is having to endure. And, this is just the start of her fucking tribulations, man. She's just got so much bullshit to go through before... We don't even know. We don't even know what the resolution is going to be. If there's a fucking resolution for this fucking girl. And so, I don't know. We met her potential prospect in... Is that in a sample chapter, or is that at the end of Dance, where she was meeting Sir Harry?
Sir Harry.
The winged knight.
Harry the Heir?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he seems a little pompous.
Douchey.
But while we don't know him very much at all, he
You don't
doesn't
know
quite
me.
seem Joffrey
No.
at all.
Maybe.
He doesn't seem quite as sadistic.
Yeah.
But who knows? He
Yeah.
could be. But just a little pompous, which seems kind of up Sansa's alley. If she's got
Alright.
this guy that's
Let's relax.
casting some shade at some people, and
Getting
she's
crazy.
like, all right, I'll talk down on some motherfuckers with you. Let's do this.
Getting crazy.
Either way, Sansa's a badass bitch, and she deserves our love. She's
Cool.
a sweet baby
Sansa,
angel.
so then I'll induct Tommen, her dance partner.
Fuck yes.
Who I recalled now was excited because he said, I'm taller than my uncle is now. And Sansa said, I know you are. And then he was taken away. And so Tommen, for
Casting mad shade
just
at Tyrion and Sansa.
being the kid at the party, yo.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, I want to get married now, which is also a funny little
Well, that's it. Yeah.
foreshadowing
that
of
he's coming
he'll
up.
be the next wedding. And so,
Well, the next successful.
well,
wedding.
that's what I mean, the next wedding after the planned one that everyone thinks is going right. And I also,
That's good. I never even. That's a good.
as well as the little bit of the Tyrells coming in pissed. That is also foreshadowing of
Yes.
the only people madder than the fucking
Sansa
bride and
herself.
groom are the Tyrells here, and that carries over into the purple
They
wedding.
just lost the North.
Right, and so they're
Or
gonna
did they?
make sure
Bum,
they
bum, bum.
lose the king. So
For
yeah,
sure.
there was lots of cool moving parts in the back, but Tommen for being the innocent injection of just
Alright.
what up? I want to be married too.
Yeah, he's not in on the games.
No,
yet,
yeah,
so
he ain't no
we
shit.
can still.
Yeah,
give him
Tommen's
some-
acceptable as a Lannister because right now he ain't looking fucking good for
He's
these
the only
Lannisters,
decent
man.
fucking one there is.
And
but
that's so funny. I was such a big Lannister fan. I mean, I am still. They're good, complex
the
characters.
cutthroat
but
level of I mean, it's nothing wrong with. I mean, there's a lot fucking
there's a
wrong
lot
with them.
wrong with them.
But to appreciate the writing of the characters and their complexities.
And then,
yeah.
because of our fucky scheduling, we only have the one inductee, but it is a great one from Karen, who says 3 big chapters in a row: cave sex, Unsullied, and a wedding. How devastating for not the most naive, but the most optimistic Stark. I like that. Optimistic is a better word than naive. She had talked herself into loving Willis and was ready to make him fall for her, then to be surprised and married to a fucking Lannister. And even though Tyrion has been the nicest Lannister, he's absolutely not like Sansa's ideal husband, and this was not her dream wedding. Inductees, there's multiple for Karen.
All right. Well, because we also gave ones for all the other episodes, right? So is there one for each of the 3 chapters?
No, it's
okay.
she's
My bad,
inducting
I'm backing the fuck off.
both Sansa and Tyrion.
All right.
Neither of them wanted this wedding. Both are heartbroken at having this very personal choice taken from them, so they could both use some brotherhood.
Fuck yeah.
You were more sympathetic toward Tyrion than we were, so he's always welcome, I guess, for now. Until he does something sketchy, monstrous, like he's good with me, because he's at least aware. He's the most aware Lannister besides probably Tywin.
Woke Lannister.
But thank you, Karen, as always.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys writing into us.
She's not quite caught up, but we can also give a shout out to Kristen. Who's been dropping bombshells.
Going quick, yeah. She, real quick, we'll touch on Sansa 5.
She sends 3 to 8 chapter breakdowns every a lot of fucking chapter breakdowns.
She's currently reading Clash of Kings. Her last email contained 3 chapters, one of which was Sansa 5, which I wanted to bring up for this episode.
This was Sansa 5? Is this Sansa 3?
This is Sansa 5 of Clash of Kings.
We're on Sansa 3.
We're on Sansa 3,
I know.
yeah. So I wanted to bring it up because she mentions comparisons to music. How many times throughout this chapter Sansa notes how strange it is to hear the beautiful music. Also, this is during the Battle of Blackwater at this point. How strange it is to hear the beautiful music in the septs superimposed with the cacophonous sounds of war. A terrible song. We have a microcosm of the series as a whole here. 2 clashing songs. The Song of Ice versus Fire. The Song of Prayer versus War. And perhaps are more alike than they initially seem. It's especially significant coming from Sansa, whose childlike, idyllic perception of song is crumbling into something much darker for every passing chapter. So, the point that you make of the microcosms, the 2 clashing songs, Song of Ice and Fire, the Song of Prayer and War, I think is perfectly illustrated here, where Sansa is in the middle of both of those songs. She's married here because she's a Stark.
Right, and as a claim,
the war and prayer, and she's hiding behind her courtesy and her prayers, and the Song of Ice and Fire, or Ice versus Fire, and that's her Stark lineage, which is very significant, right? The others, and so Sansa, as well as the rest of the Starks, but no one epitomizes more the in the middle of both songs, a foot in both worlds, and so the fact that you brought it up then. And it's still, the wedding, the dance was the happiest part. She was able to lose herself in the music, in the song again. And so music continues to be very prevalent in Sansa, even up to Sansa 3 of A Storm of Swords. And it was just a really good point. And
so, thank you for all your emails.
Kristen always has great emails. Yeah.
It'll be a little bit before she catches up, but we wanted to touch on that just because it was prevalent.
It was a good email.
If you would like to send in some emails and inductees, you can write to us a bunch of different ways. You can go to the facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. We have a group there. There's also a private group that can be accessed by going to the Patreon. We also do where we're doing a reread of the Dunk and Egg trilogy.
Yeah, we lost some episodes on Patreon as well, but we... of course, are now remotivated.
Yep, we're getting back into all those things.
To get you guys some Patreon content fresh.
You can check out every episode of any of the books that we've read previously at brotherhoodwithout.com. You can check out any of the socials. I'm on Twitter at MannersWithout. Zach is on Twitter at CarStark92.
Hey.
And it's goody gone, man. Leave us some reviews that are great. We would really appreciate it.
We
Spotify,
missed you guys.
Apple
It's
Podcasts.
good to be recording again
and
reading again. And next we're reading Arya 5. So
speaking of reading real quick, we're reading this crazy new book called House of Leaves. And if you like horror,
yeah, there may be a completely A Song of Ice and Fire related Patreon episode about House of Leaves.
Just a discussion, man.
Because this book is fucking intense and it's really good. And I think if you like the themes of A Song of Ice and Fire, you may have an interest in some of the themes explored here.
It's not for the faint at heart.
Right.
And it's not an easy read, man. Like, it's...
But that's a maybe. We're focused more on Dunk and Egg and A Song of Ice and Fire content right now.
And
but
it's the main show here, so...
And next is Arya 5 of A Storm of Swords. So we'll be catching up with Arya and her gallivanting with the Brotherhood.
I think they meet the Hound this episode. Is that this one? Or the
I
next,
haven't...
This chapter? Maybe it's the next
specifically kind of tried to...
Beric Dondarrion and stuff. It's going to be fucking cool.
Right. We've tried to erase the recorded episodes from our mind, and so hopefully coming into Arya
with
now,
fire.
A little bit fresh off of it, having not read it in a minute, we'll be able to re-come to it, and it'll be a great episode, as I think this Sansa one was. So it's good to be back.
We love you. Thank you for coming back.
We'll be more on a routine schedule, so it won't be long before you hear from us again.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Valor to Harris.
Peace.